I am Aisling O'Connell. I'm Head of Innovation Policy here at the SRA, and I'm going to talk through some of the key findings from the recently published research on small-sized firms and their use of technology and innovation. As an evidence-based regulator, research is hugely important to us, and this research helps us and the wider sector understand the challenges and experiences of small-sized firms and what they need to make greater use of tech and to innovate. So some of this will be not news to any of you, but just to, I suppose, kind of contextualize the research. At the SRA, we regulate a large and diverse community. So that ranges from sole practitioners, high street law firms, all the way up to magic circle law firms. And we have a mission, as laid out in our corporate strategy, to drive confidence and trust in legal services. And one of the 4 strategic priorities that we have relates directly to innovation and technology. So that's about supporting innovation and technology, and with a specific focus on supporting small-sized law firms to adopt tech. So just, I suppose, by way of context for the research, so we recognise that a huge proportion of our regulated community is small-sized firms. So they make up about 78% of the firms that we regulate. So that includes firms with 1 to 4 partners and a turnover of 400k or less. They are very much the gateway to legal services for so many people. And they face unique challenges when it comes to adopting technology and to innovating. So we undertook this research to very much understand that unique perspective and what it is that's needed to help them better adopt and use technology. The research very much gave us a picture of the varied experiences that are out there among small-sized firms when it comes to adopting tech and to innovation. And in terms of what the research actually involved, so we did a bit of a desk review to begin with. We also did interviews, both with legal professionals, as well as with innovators, as well as with some experts in the sector. We undertook a survey of small-sized firms, and then we concluded the research with a workshop where we brought together some participants to talk about what next and what was needed. And as Aileen already alluded to, the research has been published. We published it on the 19th of June, so if you haven't had a look at it, please do. So, starting off with what we found in terms of the drivers for adoption. So there's many reasons why small-sized firms adopt technology, and the main one that we found was a desire to be more efficient and a desire to better serve clients and consumers. We also heard a lot about how small-sized firms really feel under pressure to do more with less, and that consumers are increasingly expecting digitally enabled services and faster delivery of the services that they pay for. We also heard about how small-sized firms very much see huge potential for technology to increase access to justice and enhance services for consumers, so very much recognising the access to justice benefits that it holds. And then we also heard about how legal tech can help firms meet these expectations from consumers and without compromising on quality or on compliance. And then in terms of the challenges, as I've already alluded to, cost was a real concern for many small-sized firms who often felt that they were operating within tight margins and perhaps didn't have the same level of resources that larger organisations may have. But future-proofing concerns was also a big area of concern and an issue that small-sized firms. So for example, we found that 72% of those that we surveyed worried about technology tools becoming non-compliant, and that was with general regulations or general law, and there was very much this specific concern around the potential for products to be non-compliant with data protection laws. These aren't abstract fears, they're very much about small-sized firms wanting to be ethical, responsible, and ensure that they maintain client trust in the services that they deliver. Firms also told us that they're not sure where to go to for impartial advice, with many turning to peers for this kind of information and for advice. And then we also heard about how when firms do adopt technology, they can face challenges in integrating those products into existing systems. So it doesn't always feel like a painless process, but sometimes can feel like a painful process. And then one of the things that we did as part of this research was we have published some composite case studies. We often hear from those that we engage with, both innovators, law firms, and solicitors, that hearing about the experiences of their peers is really, really valuable. And I wanted to kind of bring this to life a bit more by sharing one of the case studies that we've published with you all. So this is Veronica. She's a small size firm owner, and she had a goal of wanting to make her firm and the services that she delivered more modern and accessible. She had seen how technology could help from previous roles that she'd had, and so when she founded her business, she built tech in from the start. And then when the pandemic hit, her firm was very much ready and set up to make that move to remote working. She already had cloud systems in place, virtual communications channels, so that meant that they could seamlessly keep delivering their services more easily than others. The challenge now that she feels is about the pressure to keep evolving and keeping pace with developments. Clients expect convenience, speed, and digital confidence. And I think the quote that we've highlighted here is probably one many can relate to in terms of consumers' experiences generally in their life with speed of service and speed of access. So if you can order items from Amazon that arrive within 24 hours, how can we mirror that experience in a law firm? So they're likely to get that kind of speed and efficiency in other parts of their lives. So this highlights the opportunity that technology can create, but also the pressure that it can put on law firms, sole practitioners, small size firms in particular, to keep up and to keep pace with those developments. And just to say, there are further case studies in our research, so please do have a look at those. And then in terms of what we heard from small size firms as to what they want to better adopt technology and to innovate, I've already touched on the first point here, which is about case studies, so very much helping people learn from each other and hearing how and what someone like them has done to navigate what can feel like a complex market that is both overserved in certain areas and underserved, according to what we heard. We also heard that there's things that innovators and vendors can do. So we heard how people really valued trial periods and product demos and how there was a varied experience when it came to actually experiencing them and them being offered. It was hugely valuable in allowing businesses to test the product with as many people in their organization as they could and really get that feel for, is it right? Does this meet the need that we have? And how does it integrate with our existing systems? And then opportunities to learn from others. So exactly as Aileen kind of alluded to, days like today are hugely important, as are other events that are already held regionally, locally and nationally to help people learn from each other in what is a fast-paced sector and where things are evolving. So things like peer recommendations being really valuable and small-sized firms really wanting to learn from others. That's why events like today, as well as others, are so important. And then more widely, which I already alluded to, there is this real desire for more trusted and impartial information and sources for firms to turn to know what good looks like and what they can compare. We heard as part of the research that the market can sometimes feel like a wild west of options, with there being a huge amount of options for certain tools, and then other areas there being kind of minimal options, and it's just been really challenging to know what to choose, how to choose, and where to go. And then I just wanted to kind of conclude with some final thoughts. So I think there can be a perception in the sector sometimes that sole practitioners and small-sized firms are further behind the curve, and I think this research very much points to there isn't a lack of willingness. There's very much a desire to want to use technology and to innovate and to adopt. But there's a sense and a feeling and a reality for many that they can't afford to get it wrong, that the stakes are higher. So they want support and need support to do that. This research gives a roadmap to help them to do that right. And we all, and I think this very much comes out in the research, this isn't going to be solved by one particular organisation or one particular actor. We all in the sector have a part to play. So that includes regulators, it also includes providers, it includes advisors, and includes other bodies as well. So no one organisation has the answer, unfortunately. So it really is incumbent on us all to work together and to play our part. As I said, and as Aileen alluded to, the full report is now available on our website. We published it on the 19th of June. That includes the case studies, one of which I walked you through earlier. And we are very much looking forward to having a discussion with our panels here today, as well as during the lunch break and in our session later on as well. So I think that's it from me for now. I will be on the second session later. I will be around all of today, so please, if you don't get to ask your question later on, do just kind of grab me. Very happy to have a conversation and talk more about what we're doing at the SRA, but please do take the time to read through the research, which we do feel is really useful and really valuable. So thank you, and I'll hand back over to Aileen.